Welcome to the 30-Second Psalm. Hello, my friends. This is Simon, and today we're going to make some super fun tiki cocktails. So we've got some really fun riffs on the classic tiki canon of the Painkiller and the Mai Tai. So let's start off with our Painkiller. If you're a fan of pina coladas, you're absolutely going to love this cocktail. It's sort of a lighter, more refreshing version of that classic cocktail. So it got started back in the 1970s at a bar in the Virgin Islands called the Soggy Dollar Bar. It became very famous there. It was a really popular bar, and it spread throughout the Caribbean. So what I've already got in my shaker filled with ice is I've got two different kinds of rum. I'm using the Appleton Signature Blend as well as the Captain Morgan White. As you learn more about tiki cocktails, you will find out that a lot of the classic tiki cocktails use 2 or 3 different types of rums. And that is to balance the flavors and make the final cocktail more complex. So you take a really woody barrel-aged rum, or you take a silver rum, or maybe a rum that has a lot of funky molasses aromas from a pot still. There's all kinds of interesting variations of that, and you can play with it to make your own concoction. Now I've also got some pineapple juice, I've got some orange juice, and I'm going to finish it with a little bit of coconut cream. All right, let's give that a shake. So if you've got some fun tiki glasses at home, that's great. We're just going to use a highball for ours today, because I only have one tiki glass that my friends didn't break. So remember that whenever we're talking about cocktails that include citrus and some kind of sugar, in this situation, the coconut cream, you shake it in order to emulsify all of those ingredients. So I've got it nicely shaken, and now I'm going to pour it over fresh ice. Oh, does that not look delicious? You notice that because it's got the pineapple in it, it frothed up really nicely. Okay, I'm going to give it a super fun little straw here, of course, and then the coup de grace is some nutmeg. The nutmeg works so perfectly with the barrel aromas from the barrel-aged rum, as well as it works super well with the coconut. So I'm just using the store-bought kind. If you've got a nut and you've got a microplaner, grate some on top. You and your guests will be absolutely blown away. So that's the Painkiller. Super easy to make, super fun to make. It works great in a blender too. If you're having a party, even if it's just 2 of you and you want to have a couple of them and just get all the work done out of the way, what I do is I take all the ingredients and just a little bit of ice, like 1 scoop, and then I whip it up in the blender, and then I take the whole blender out to the patio with a bucket of ice, and then we make the drinks there. And then when you need to refill it, you're just refilling it. It's already emulsified, it's chilled, but it's not completely frozen slushy. You're going to enjoy that. It's an awesome, awesome cocktail. So next up, we're going to make a Mai Tai. Now, the Mai Tai is one of the quintessential tiki cocktails, and frankly, there's a lot of confusion. Most people have only had a Mai Tai once or twice in their lives. Find them to be too sweet, or they have a real specific idea what they were supposed to taste like, when in actuality there's at least a dozen official recipes for different Mai Tais that were patented by different famous tiki bartenders of the past. So what we're doing here is a super simple version of the Mai Tai that I absolutely love. And this is a very close reproduction of the original Mai Tai, the very first Mai Tai created by Don the Beachcomber and a couple of his friends. So the name itself means that's really good. So when you say Mai Tai, you should really shout it, Mai Tai, that's really good, yeah! All right, so I get a little bit excited when I talk about Mai Tais. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's start off with some ice. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add 2 ounces of rum, and I'm using the Kirk and Sweeney 12-year-old rum, which is from the Dominican Republic. This is a really fragrant, bold, full-bodied rum with a lot of wood impact to it, but it has a slightly dry finish, so it makes it perfect for this type of complex cocktail that's going to include some sweetness. And then I'm going to use a ½ ounce of Grand Marnier. I'm going to use a full ounce of lime juice, and then this recipe calls for 2 different kinds of syrups. It calls for orgeat and simple or rock candy syrup. So orgeat is an almond milk syrup, fundamentally. It's basically almonds that have been ground up, soaked and ground up, and then strained and turned into a syrup. So it adds a creamy nuttiness to the cocktail. Okay, it really makes the Mai Tai. So I highly recommend you get some orgeat, spelled Orgeat, and then half an ounce of that, and then a quarter ounce of rock candy or simple syrup or rich syrup, which is basically just 2 parts of sugar to 1 part hot water stirred until it's completely melted. Okay. And that's basically rock candy syrup too. They're not saying take some rock candy and turn it into syrup. They're saying that this is the syrup that you would make rock candy out of. Okay, so it's a richer, thicker syrup. It's not to make the drink sweeter. It's to add another layer of texture to the cocktail. And a lot of my friends who are really into cocktailing, I've got those syrups mixed up already here, so I'm gonna go ahead and add those. A lot of my friends who are really into cocktailing went to the rock candy syrup and never went back because they really just preferred the flavor that that added richness adds to the cocktail and the texture, most importantly. Give that a good shake. All right, so now I'm going to strain it into my tiki glass here. Oh, this smells so good already. And one of the most important things about a Mai Tai is going to be the final garnish. That's going to be crushed ice. So this cocktail's pretty potent. It's got 2 ounces of rum in it. And on a hot day, I really just seem to enjoy being outside and sipping this one slow. And the using the crushed ice really helps with that process. So I already have some ice pre-crushed here. Give you a couple of fun little lime wedges there to add to the garnish, and of course, a fun straw. Let me taste this. Mai Tai!